Hi everyone, it is January 20th, 2018, and here we are on MIT Technology Review, and this is from March 25th, 2008, Weather Engineering in China. How the Chinese plan to modify the weather in Beijing, and let me get this bigger. Modify the weather in Beijing during the Olympics using supercomputers and artillery. Okay, can you believe this? This is in 2008, 10 years ago. So they're going to prevent rain over the roofless 91,000-seat Olympic Stadium. That what? I don't know. Beijing natives have nicknamed the Bird's Nest, the city's branch of the National Weather Modification Office itself, a department of the larger China Meteorological Administration, has prepared a three-stage program for the 2008 Olympics in this August. First, Beijing's Weather Modification Office will track the region's weather via satellites, planes, radar, and an IBM P575 supercomputer purchased from Big Blue last year that executes 9.8 trillion floating point operations per second. It models an area of 44,000 square kilometers, 17,000 square miles, accurately enough to generate hourly forecasts for each kilometer. Okay, now, we all know that science has advanced exponentially, especially in the computer processing department, right? So, do you think anybody stopped this? No. It's just completely advancing. And do you think that one country is going to allow another country to do these things with radar, planes, satellites, and computers, and the other country is just going to sit back and do nothing? No. They are all in competition with each other, and it's just under the radar of humans who are being entertained on TV, etc. And speaking of TV, I was on the plane and I watched a show called Cloud9 Superstore, something like that. This was the most insanely dumb show I have ever seen. It was slow. The characters were dimwits. And this is what's happening. Okay, the governments are speeding up their technology, their intelligence. See, this is about intelligent machines, right? So humans are going way down the path of being super dummies. And supercomputers and robots and artificial intelligence are just ramping up, and everybody's becoming lazy about what's going on because they don't have to do anything, right? They just ask a question into Google. They get all the answers already. Okay, well, I think we should pay attention to what's going on. So then, using their 2 aircraft and array of 20 artillery and rocket launch sites around Beijing, the city's weather engineers will shoot and spray silver iodide and dry ice into incoming clouds that are still far enough away that their rain can be flushed out before they reach the stadium. Oh my goodness. So 10 years ago, okay, spray silver iodide and dry ice. So that has been going on for ages and ages and ages. And don't you really think that they have experimented with other chemicals, and that's why people find those other chemicals that are in chemtrails like barium, etc., etc., etc.? And what about that time they found human blood cells? Oh my gosh, what is going on? Finally, any rain-heavy clouds that near the bird's nest will be seeded with chemicals to shrink droplets so that rain won't fall until those clouds have passed over. So this was common knowledge, you know, back then, and they don't talk about weather modification like they used to. They just talk about climate change, climate change, climate change. So Zhang Qian, head of Beijing's Weather Modification Office, explains, we use a coolant made from liquid nitrogen to increase the number of droplets while decreasing their average size. As a result, the smaller droplets are less likely to fall and precipitation can be reduced. August is part of the Northeast Asia's rainy season. Chances of precipitation over Beijing on any day that month will approach 50%. Still, while tests with clouds bearing heavy rain loads haven't always been successful, Qian claims that the results with light rain have been satisfactory. Modifying the weather may seem a hubristic exercise, but arguably, given what else the Chinese have already invested to make this year's Olympics a showcase for China's emergence as a 21st century superpower, it's almost the least they could do. Following the announcement in 2001 that 2008 Games had been awarded to Beijing, the government of the People's Republic initiated $40 billion of new construction there, bringing 120,000 Chinese migrant workers into the city at about $130 each month. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? That's how much people make in 1 month. For a migrant worker, $130. And triggering a 5-year steel shortage worldwide. Today, Beijing boasts, alongside the vast bird's nest, megastructures like a new airport terminal that on its own is bigger than any airport elsewhere in the world. One measure of the city's transformation is that today 300 or so new towers, some designed by the most avant-garde architects on the planet, rise where a few short years ago there were only traditional Chinese courtyard residences. This is so sad. Can you imagine these really charming Chinese courtyard residences were wiped out so that everything could be just, you know, showcased for the 2008 Olympics? This happens a lot because they did the same thing in Lisbon when they had the World's Fair there or something, and there were all these places where there were homeless people and little places. They just clean it all up so that it's so bad afterwards, and it just looks out of character and everything. Same thing happened in Barcelona. They have a little area called Barceloneta. In Barceloneta, there used to be all these restaurants right in the sand, and you could just be so near the water, and they were fish restaurants. They changed all that, you know, covered it with cement and everything to clean it up for some event in Barcelona at the time. This is just horrible. Well, that's progress, right? Anyway, equally though, the Geneva-based Center on Housing Rights and Evictions estimates that 1.5 million Beijing's natives will have been displaced from their homes by government edict when the Olympics finally begins. Oh my goodness, can you imagine, just for a sports event? This preemptory modernization is of a piece with China's scale. Its 1.32 billion population and the authoritarian control exerted by its communist central government, which nowadays is dominated by technocrats and engineers who favor mega projects like the world's largest dam, the Three Gorges Dam over the Yangtze River, its highest railway, the Qinghai-Tibet line, and even its biggest Ferris wheel in Beijing, opening in 2009. So yeah, the Three Gorges Dam, I mean, people that live near that forever, you know, families for centuries, had to move. And that's what they do. So, unsurprisingly, therefore, China's national weather engineering program is also the world's largest, with approximately 1,500 weather modification professionals directing 30 aircraft and their crews, as well as 37,000 part-time workers, mostly peasant farmers, who are on call to blast away at clouds with 7,113 anti-aircraft guns and 4,991 rocket launchers Oh my gosh, this is how they blast away with clouds. So, seriously, do you think this has changed once they realized they had this power to change the weather? Okay, March 25th, 2008, MIT Technology Review. So, it hasn't changed. The Chinese began experimental weather engineering in 1958 to irrigate the country's north, where average yearly rainfall compares with that during the American Dust Bowl of the 1930s. And sudden windstorms blasting down from the Gobi Desert have made drought and famine constant possibilities. So, today the People's Republic budgets $60 to $90 million annually for its National Weather Modification Office. I like this. It's so blatant, you know. Weather Modification Office. As for the return on this investment, the state-run news agency Xinhua claims that between 1999 and 2007, the office rendered 470,000 square kilometers of land hail-free and created more than 250 billion tons of rain, an amount sufficient to fill the Yellow River, China's second largest, 4 times over. Oh my God. So, in some of the comments on this article, they do talk about the butterfly effect. You know, a tiny thing happening on one side of the world can affect the other side of the world because we're all linked. So what do you think of this? If China is doing such a thing, and what about all those freak hails recently? Freak floods, freak fires, freak everything. So, you know, can all have an effect on each other. What they do there can affect the West, and what the West does can affect another part of the world eventually. Seems to make sense to me. Furthermore, while Qian's weather engineers in Beijing have been testing their capabilities for the past 2 years, the Chinese say that during the past 5 years, similar efforts have already helped produce good weather at national events like the World Expo in Yunnan and the Asian Games in Shanghai and the Giant Panda Festival in Sichuan. Although they possess the world's largest weather modification program, okay, this was in 2008, may have changed, the Chinese point to the Russians as being the most advanced. Oh. In 1986, Russian scientists deployed cloud seeding measures to prevent radioactive rain from Chernobyl from reaching Moscow. And in 2000, they cleared clouds before an anniversary ceremony commemorating the end of World War II. China's then President Jiang Zemin witnessed the results firsthand and pushed to adopt the same approach back home. As for the historical credit for starting the whole weather engineering ball rolling back in 1946, okay, 1946, I know it goes back farther than that, but at least we have a date here, right? That belongs to employees of General Electric in Schenectady, New York. Most notably, scientist Bernard Vonnegut, brother of the late novelist Kurt, who worked out silver iodide's potential to provide crystals around which cloud moisture would condense. Okay, did you know that? Did you know it was Kurt Vonnegut's brother who figured out the silver iodide's potential? I didn't know that until I read it a little while ago. During the 1960s and 70s, the United States invested millions of federal dollars in experiments like Storm Fury, aimed at hurricane control, and that's the one, Storm Fury, with, and I mentioned Joanne Simpson. She was married to, I think her husband's name was John Simpson, and she became director of Storm Fury, and she talks about, she's very interesting, you know, she had lifelong depression, and she had a really bad relationship with her mother also. That's why she could be a great character for a movie. If only somebody would research it and write the whole thing. Oh my gosh, it would be so great, because it would reveal weather modification. Anyway, sky water, that was another experiment aimed at snow and rainfall increase. Remember all that crazy snow we had a while ago, and that fake snow that wouldn't burn? And sky fire, okay, I hadn't heard of these. Aimed at lightning suppression. So if they can suppress lightning, they can encourage it and create it and make it stronger. Whatever they can do one way, they can do the opposite way. Simultaneously, the U.S. military tried to use weather modification as a weapon in Project Popeye during the Vietnam War by rainmaking over the Ho Chi Minh Trail in an effort to close it. They flooded it and made it muddy. The troops couldn't go through it. Nevertheless, because weather is the epitome of a complex emergent system, no analytical models or methodologies existed that produced data conclusively, proving that weather modification worked. In the United States, research funding died down and commercial weather modification efforts became hemmed in by stringent regulation. But even if there's regulation, the government can sidestep that because they're allowed to do classified experiments without even telling people. So that's what they be doing. A 2003 report from the National Academy of Sciences concluded that despite more than 30 years of efforts, there is still no convincing scientific proof of the efficacy of intentional weather modification efforts. Well, of course they're going to say that. Still, according to William Cotton, a meteorologist at Colorado State University, as far as the science of weather modification is concerned, the evidence that it works in certain situations is very compelling. The Chinese are certainly in no doubt. Once they have demonstrated their capabilities to the rest of the world at the Olympics later this year, and they did, the party's central planners intend to expand their national weather modification program in 2010, turning the Weather Modification Office into a separate government ministry that will double the amount of rainmaking and other weather engineering that China is now doing. This is the truth, everyone. Okay? Weather control. This article is completely wrong. The Chinese have no intention of controlling the weather. Okay, he must be joking. Okay. So, geopolitical implications. Okay, trying to link weather to modification to tsunamis. Tsunamis are not weather events. Yeah, but frequencies rocking the earth deep in the earth from like those machines that can send out waves that can create earthquakes and then create tsunamis is totally possible. Chinese have little choice about weather modification anyway. The comments are interesting. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video. And, it's just to remind all of us that, okay, look, silver iodide hazard, silver iodide 10 years ago. Potential health effects: eye may cause eye irritation, skin may cause skin irritation, can cause eczema and rash, ingestion may cause irritation of the digestive tract. Okay, have not the toxicological properties of this substance have not been fully investigated. Chronic congestion of iodides during pregnancy has resulted in fetal death. Severe goiter and cretinoid appearance of the newborn may cause respiratory tract irritation, may cause effects similar to those described for ingestion. Okay, so who would ever think that these things would not have an effect on people? discoloration of the eyes, skin, mucous membranes, and internal organs. Well, you have to look at all sides and not just let it go. Blurry eyes. Over 7,000 guns and almost 5,000 rocket launchers. This is the Olympics? Yeah. Yes, it's an eye-opener. How many people knew that 10 years ago? Sort of like a butterfly. These events aren't occurring in a vacuum, and no one is pointing to the substances as much as the events that they are causing for having an unnatural effect on global conditions. Not so bad. Relative what? To what? New Jersey? Of course it's tiny comparing to the greatest pollution Americans have produced. Why don't you stop using your air conditioning? Stop driving gas-fueled cars. Stop launching shuttles into space, which all cause butterfly effect on Mother Earth, don't they? So I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? Everything has an effect on everything else. That's why we must choose love and good thoughts at all times, and never speak bad about ourselves or other people, and always empower ourselves and other people and be in line in what the Holy Spirit desires for us, which is love. So, anyway, there we go. MIT Technology Review, intelligent machines, and look how intelligent Sophia is now, and she's going to decide when she takes over the world who and how, who will get involved in the financial beast system with the, like one guy I watched, he said there will be no more passwords in 2 years. So what are you going to have? You're going to have a chip or something. And these are end times, okay? It's ramping up so fast. This is Moore's law, So get ready and stay close to the Most High and hide under the wings of God, because you'll be protected. And Jesus said he was coming back, and he said to watch the signs, and the signs are here. They've appeared in the sun, moon, stars. Obvious. Okay, so we can't wake people up. It's only the Holy Spirit has to do it, but we can ask. We can be a vital instrument in helping people to open their eyes. Okay, we don't really know all the answers, but these things are happening, and the kingdom of heaven is within us, and we have a lot of power. Don't forget it. Okay? Thank you for watching. God bless everyone. Bye for now. Pray for wisdom. Seek wisdom like gold. This is the thing. Wisdom. Okay, catch you later.